Hello, I'm Joby Carter from Carter Steam Fair, and today I'm going to be talking to you about our Dodgem. Isn't that right? Yeah, this is my daughter Elizabeth helping us out here today. She's my trusty assistant, aren't you? Yeah, good girl. Now, we bought a Dodgem in about 1989 after lots of people advising my dad, why don't you buy a Dodgem? Why don't you buy a Dodgem? Why haven't you got a Dodgem? And at the time we had the Gallopers chairplane, the yachts, and we had side stalls, and juveniles travelled with us with tenants, and we had a tenant with a big wheel and helter-skelter. And my dad decided, yeah, I think we will. We actually had one come with us with a film job, something called Oranges Are Not the Only Fruit. And we had Connolly's Dodgem with us, build-up Dodgem. I think my dad thought, yeah, you know what, I quite fancy one of those. So when we bought this one, the firm that built it originally was called Supercar, and they were still in business, and it was actually a section shorter, which it was 16 foot. So we had a section built, all new aluminium plates, but all the other ones were steel. Now, steel lasts longer, but steel is considerably heavier to build up. And it didn't have these pillars are wood, whereas all the others are the original aluminium ones, because they couldn't get that extrusion anymore. I think I'm saying that right. And it'd been inside, so it didn't have a tilt on top. It didn't have these canopy brackets. It had these, but when it was made, it was quite a late one, and these just had plastic in them. It had yellow plastic there and red plastic there. These handrails are from a much earlier Dodgem, a 1940s one, I think. They came off of, I think they were Teddy Andrews and went to Trickett's. But anyway, so they're nice original handrails. So we made these look more traditional and made them look older than when this track was built. And we made the canopy brackets in the style of a much older one. But basically, they were making these Dodgems like this, Supercar were, from after the war. And so many showmen had Supercar tracks. They were the one to have for ease in travelling. The cars we had until very recently, in fact we still got them. I'm probably, to be honest, going to sell them because they're just sitting in the shed collecting dust. They're the original Supercar ones we had, and they're lovely, full of character, but unfortunately you can't get the surround tyre. My dad, probably 25 years ago, bought an even older set, a 1960 set, with the intent of mounting those cars on the chassis we had from these older ones, because they were nicer. They're really beautiful 1960s car, but it just never happened. There was always something more important, and the chassis were very tired, and they got scrapped. And there again, it was the tyre you couldn't fit. So about 3 years ago, I bought. You look very interested there. Are you listening to all? Are you taking this all in? Because you can do this next year, all right? Gone and bought new chassis from Italy, because they don't make them in this country, and then I'm going to mount the bodies, the original bodies, on there, because that's the only way I can do it and keep them alive. But they're beautiful, and they'll be covered in chrome and all got these lovely numbers on, and I'm threatening to start those within the next month, but there's always something more busy to do. Hello.
Yeah.
Oh, have I got to come up there? Do you want me up there? Oh, my director's telling me to go up there, excuse me. Oh, this bit's new, isn't it? Yeah, how was it before? Do you remember?
I can't remember.
It had steps, didn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, thanks Elizabeth for that cue. So, this is the new entrance, because we operate tokens now, and for as long as we've been running it, and for as long as I've known, and if you ask a showman, when did cars, have they always been per car or per person? And I think most of them, most Dodgems, you go and buy a token and you put it in the car and then it goes. And I think that's how the per car came about. And last year it just became a real nuisance, because we do this thing with we get a free ride ticket and you had to have two, and that would cause confusion. There's all these words, and I thought, you know what, I'm just going to try it. I'm going to try per person, which means if you go in by yourself, it's better value. If there's two people in there, it's not as good a value, but it's 5 tokens per person, like nearly all the other rides. And it's just so easy, because you just have an entrance here, they queue up, you take the tokens as they come in, they jump in the car, you send it round, 2 people to operate it. It's just so simple, and it's proved very popular, and less confusion when you're trying to explain to people that you have to pay per car and you don't on others. And so yeah, that's why we've got this. We've also got a height restriction here. Elizabeth, show us a height restriction. Stand there. Elizabeth's big enough. Now she's big enough to go on, but only if she's with someone who's that tall or taller. So she needs to be accompanied. So when you're that tall, Elizabeth, you can go on by yourself.
And when you're this tall, you can't.
And what if you're shorter than that?
You can't go on.
You can't go on, can you? See, we used to run it used to be run by age, but the problem with age is people lie, especially blokes, because they want their child that was born a week ago to go on the Dodgem for some reason and get bounced around. But if it's height, they can't. You get, excuse me, how old's your child? Oh, they're 5, mate. How old are you? I'm 3. You're not coming on. So that there's no arguments for that. If they're tall enough or they're not. Now these beautiful paintings here of all the rock and roll stars were done by my mum back in, well, way back in 1989 or 90, I guess. And these are song titles. So Cliff Richard, Move It, that was his big hit. Little Richard, Tutti Frutti, and so on and so forth all the way around. Originally, the outside of that was done by my dad, and the sign writing was done by Stan Wilkinson. We redid the surrounds on there. That's been done in aluminium leaf, and re-put the names back on there in a nice bit of casual. They were done, yeah, and all repainted and done on those. The pay box was new. Actually, the old pay box is the token booth we're using at the minute, which we're hoping to replace soon, which is right over there. That's the one, but that's a bugger to tow. And this now goes on the back of that truck, and that truck now gets pulled by my new truck, which is just in yellow and yellow and maroon, not sign written yet. So it's one load, which I've been aiming for quite a while, just to get it on one load. The cars we're using are actually as old as the ones we had on there, but these are Revachon, and they're French, and they were very popular. And they were very sort of futuristic design in the 70s when they were made, and you might think they're a little bit ugly, but they're kind of an icon, really. And there were so many of them about, and it's just a great car, and you can still get parts for them. That's a good thing about them. Now, what a lot of people don't realise about a Dodgem car is they're a three-wheeler. So, pick up the electric at the top here, and you pick up the electric at the bottom through the plate. So the electric goes into the pay box through the control panel, and then when you start it, the power goes to the track. You'd have a job to do that. You'd have to be really stupid, but with shoes on, and because it's 110 volt DC, yeah, you'll be all right. Let's put the seatbelts on the small children. But yeah, when you turn the wheel, look, what that's doing is that's turning the whole motor, which is getting electricity to it. So when they get them in a jam, we say, when you get them in a jam, press the pedal and turn the wheel. If it doesn't work one way, try it the other way. Often people get a little bit confused by it, but that's the generator going on, but not this generator. That's our 240 set, so they can start making candy floss and the like. Now, when we first started the fair, the first our lorries were Scammels from 1.6. Then we had the Model A, which we used to have our stall in, and the candy floss later on. It's a beautiful little vehicle. Because of the weight of this, and it used to be on 2 drawbar trailers, that was the dawn of needing bigger trucks. And if you look next to number 6 there, is number 8, which was an Atkinson. That was an old gritter that we had shortened, the generator put on, and that then had the power to pull a heavier ride, which this was, especially when it had steel plates on it. And then on from that, we bought 2 more Atkinsons, and then we started getting ERFs and so on and so forth. That's for all you transport buffs. Tell me, Matt, have you got any questions? Because I'm running out of things to say. Is anyone even watching?
No questions.
No questions. Any questions about Dodgem cars? One thing I will mention is the collection of rock and roll records which my dad accumulated to play on the Dodgem, which aren't in that pay box because they were kind of a personal thing that he used to play. I used to run a Dodgem, not too much, mostly my brother Seth. My brother Seth travelled the Dodgem until about 3 years ago, and he was particularly good at playing the Dodgems, playing the right Dodgems at the right time. But we started playing through an iPod or computer just to save the record a little bit, because they're the valuable old records and a wonderful collection. But I'm going to put them, in time, I'm going to put them back in the new token booth there'll be times of the day when we'll be able to get in there and play the original records that my dad collected, so all is not lost. Because at the minute we haven't got quite enough tunes on the iPod, and there was a jubilant staff when I found another iPod with a different selection of songs on. People said, "You've changed the music." It doesn't matter to the general public because they're not here long enough to hear it repeat, but if you hear Tequila that many times in one day, it can drive you a little bit crazy and put you off a song you once loved. But there you go. Elizabeth, you're going to become a DJ, aren't you? You're going to play the records for Daddy, aren't you, in the token booth? I'm going to teach you how to do it so people can give you requests, can't they? Yeah, good girl. What time is it anyway? You're going to have to open soon.
We have one question, just how long does it take to build the dodgems up?
Depends how many people you've got doing it. Generally speaking, we move on a moving day. We get there 8, 9, 10 o'clock, and 3 or 4 of them should get it done that day, depending on weather, how high it is, because you have to have a dodgem track perfectly level, and if you're on a slope, you might be 2 foot up in the air, so the track's level, or the cars will go down one end, and that can put time on the build up, getting all those blocks out, and of course when you pull down you've got to put them all away again. But I'm not one of these people that wants to bang my chest and tell you I can do it in 45 minutes, because if you're building a ride up that fast, all you're doing is knocking it about, so it's detrimental, and then you're knackered and you haven't got the engine to build the other rides up. So we're not a firm that slings stuff about. Well, as my phone's ringing and I've run out of things to say, I'm going to bid you all farewell. See you later. Bye. Hello, Roger.